Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. A little bit later on, after the bottom of the hour, we will be joined by Anthony Stabile. Opening day at Finger Lakes tomorrow. We'll do a little preview of the meet again after the bottom of the hour. But top of the hour, reached out to our man Steve Byk. Boots on the ground at Churchill Downs. He's been down this week. We had Mike Welch on yesterday going over some of the workouts. Steve has also watched some of the workouts and talked to obviously some of the major players. That will continue this week on the radio show as well. But I thought we'd catch up on this Sunday, less than a week away from the Derby. Steve, good morning.
Seth, good morning.
You were at the post draw last night. Any news out of the post draw? Number 1 was Citizen Bull. Number 20 was Owen Almighty. Other than that, I don't know whether I'm too concerned about post positions, but how the draw go and your thoughts after the posts were drawn.
Well, certainly the settings, first of all, for the draw. Last year was the first year of it, with the new paddock. It's a pretty dramatic setting, virtually right underneath the Twin Spires. And after a kind of a strange, volatile day, weather-wise, it ended up being absolutely glorious. Everybody was dressed up with their Great Gatsby look, which was the theme for opening night. It really was a nice atmosphere at Churchill yesterday, and the draw. The draw always takes a little bit of time to really absorb, and it seems late in the draw that basically all of the inside posts were available. Not all, but about 5 or 6 inside posts were essentially the last to be drawn, and a number of speeds were available for those posts. And as it happens, you end up with Citizen Bull on the rail, Neo Equus to his outside, Rodriguez in the 4, and American Promise in the 5. So you've got 2 pairs of speeds that are next to each other in the first 5 slots. So basically, all 4 of them are going to, quarter horse out of there. That actually should be to the benefit of some of the other stalker types that are in the middle gate. Most notably journalism, and journalism could not have thought better. I don't know if people were listening to the Churchill TV, but before the draw, I saw Caitlin Free, and we were talking. I talked about journalism. I said, "Well, journalism is coming into this like Barbaro, and he's going to draw the 8 like Barbaro." And the minute journalism drew 8. He sends me a text, says, "You're a magician." Journalism set up very, very nicely. East Avenue is a beneficiary of the draw because he's on his toes. He worked a brilliant 5/8 today with a big gallop out. He's been on edge all week coming into this. East Avenue is going to basically be able to set up shop under Manny Franco, probably in the 4 path, and decide what to do based on inside speed. It's very interesting for him. Owen Almighty, I know that Brian Lynch is claiming that they're not going to try to go to the front with him, but they're certainly going to go forward. So those are your 6 horses that comprise basically the front third of the field. The 1, 2, 4, 5, East Avenue. What is East Avenue? East Avenue's got to be the 12, right? 12 to 20. So those are the front third of the field. I think the field is going to stretch out very nicely, and everybody should be able to gain the position that they want. Of course, you had the two of the big closers essentially line up next to each other, Sandman and Sovereignty. they're going to fall out of it and try to work their way toward the rail, figure that they get to the 2, 3, 4 pads by the time they reach the first turn. This worked out pretty well, I think. The field should all find its niche as they pass under the Twin Spires for the first time.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to it. The one, when you look at the pace in the post position, the one that is maybe stuck a little bit is Owen Almighty, because they kind of hinted with their latest work, I guess, and that they don't necessarily want to be out in front. But from the 20, and with his style, I think they have to send.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and it also benefits. It also benefits East Avenue, because if you've got a speed horse and you don't want them to necessarily run off, or if you want them to sit comfortably and set their own pace, as long as they don't have anybody in front of them, they can be comfortable. So in a lot of ways, this is actually a good situation, I think, for Owen Almighty. Not that I think he can win, but both he and East Avenue, they're going to have a clear path in front of them. It's not like they're a speed horse that's eating a lot of dirt. Actually, Luxor Cafe, from that standpoint, he's a little compromised. He's going to be getting kickback, I would think, which I don't think they want. So, starting. Citizens Bull is up against it from that standpoint to a degree. He's going to have to be used early to gain position. So, I would think Neo Equus is going to break. Rodriguez and American Promise are the two that you're going to really want to watch. If either or both are used aggressively, then this pace is going to get very heated. If Mike Smith and Nick Juarez get aggressive and they forge into that void that East Avenue is looking for and Owen Almighty is coming down with, then all of a sudden you do have 6, 7 horses that are grappling for the lead into the turn, and at that point you're guaranteed of probably a meltdown pace.
I pulled up your Twitter feed, and I saw yesterday you had Burnham Square, who it kind of seems to be floating maybe a little bit under the radar, and I think is coming in, obviously, in very good form. Give us your thoughts yesterday, Burnham Square on the track.
Well, Burnham Square could not be coming in any better. And, of course, Ian Wilkes using essentially the patterns that were established by Carl Napster, his longtime mentor, and Carl is going to come to the Derby. He's not in great shape physically, but he absolutely insisted on being there. He'll be watching it in the paddock with Ian and Tracy Wilkes, as well as Wanda Napster. Burnham Square, I think, has a tremendous chance in here. He's going to be a very attractive price. I'm going to end up with journalism who I keep making that Barbaro comparison. I think he's going to win this race like Barbaro won his Derby. I think he is so much the horse to beat that any other dialogue about this race, I think is going to be misguided. I wouldn't buy into any suggestion, that he's vulnerable or anybody, the nonsense about, he only faced small fields. Unless he's repeatedly finding traffic, journalism just, I think, towers over this group, honestly. And, from there, it's finding horses like Burnham Square who can run well and be a factor. And if you're building tickets, you're going to want to include. And, I've got 4 or 5 horses from that standpoint, and Burnham happens to be one.
I should mention, didn't mention it at the top, but because I talked about it yesterday, but obviously on a weekday or on a Saturday and a Sunday, you don't know who's necessarily tuned in. But Tapan Street came out of the workout with a ding that has to be taken care of. So Tapan Street was out. That pulled render judgment in. And after the post position draw yesterday, Baeza sits on the AE list, 21, the only also eligible, but we'll see what works out there. When I talked to Mike Welch yesterday, and I think we have the workout from last Saturday, a week ago yesterday, when Tiz-Tastic and Publisher faced off, and Mike was impressed with Publisher, and I see on your Twitter feed, you had Publisher, I believe, out on the track this morning as well with Sovereignty and some East Avenue. Also, as we see in this workout, Publisher, a maiden, doing pretty well against Tiz-Tastic. And I think it's going to be a fun story with Publisher coming in with a real shot as a maiden.
Well, he's got a shot to be third or fourth. I don't think he can win this race. And the original dialogue out of that workout was that Publisher, and I like Publisher, but I like him as a classic clunk up type that finishes third or fourth in the Derby at a nice price. Tiz-Tastic, though, people are going to be discounting off of that workout, and it's not a smart approach to this. Asmussen is very pleased with Tiz-Tastic. What Tiz-Tastic is basically a one pace type that is going to run even fractions. And as opposed to Publisher, who's going to drop out of it and then come with a run. Tiz-Tastic is a horse that's going to turn out 12.2, 12.3 quarter miles. That plays typically very well in the Derby. He'll probably be anywhere from 10th to 15th in the early running, but he's just going to keep clicking away quarters. Asmussen is not that he doesn't like Publisher, but he is very pleased with Tiz-Tastic's progress since the Louisiana Derby. And I think if there's a horse actually that is even more overlooked or coming in under the radar, it is Tiz-Tastic. And I would not be surprised if he's a major factor in this when we get done on Saturday.
Sitting at 20-1 on the morning line, as is Publisher. The horse that I've been tilting towards for a couple of weeks now, Sovereignty, Mike Welch, and I think we have the workout from last Saturday, a week ago yesterday, which was a good-looking work. But Mike commented, and there's been some pictures on Twitter, got a little hot. There was a little lather there, but as Mike said, he doesn't watch him enough to know what to make of that, but maybe worth watching. As I say, though, your Twitter feed had Sovereignty this morning. What are your thoughts on that one?
I've been respecting Sovereignty, throughout the winter and into the spring. I may end up letting Sovereignty, quote unquote, beat me. He didn't finish great today. I'll be honest. He did not finish off real well, and I mean, the work was fine. He did not have an extended gallop out, and when it comes to we'll see what he does this. Let's watch him this. I would watch him very carefully this week, Seth.
Okay.
I'm wondering.
That's kind of what Mike said too. Said he was hot in some of the workouts. Something to keep an eye on. Yeah,
I think that's a good way to leave it for now.
Let's talk a little bit about the Oaks as well, because you tweeted out, you retweeted a Nicole Russo tweet that, and I have liked this horse coming into the Oaks, going back to the win to start the season down in Tampa, Lacara. But I'm not sure I'm going to get my price here. Good Share is obviously going to take the action, but Lacara, off of all the reports over the last few works, Lacara is going to take plenty of action as well. Your thoughts on that one in the Oaks?
Well, she was almost always going to be, no worse than third choice with Quiet Side. And now with Quiet Side drawing the 14 hole, you could pretty much assume Lacara is going to be the second choice. Her workout the other morning was spectacular. I mean, spectacular. And
Mike said it was the best workout he's seen, boys or girls.
Oh, there's no two ways about it. And I had Cassie on afterward. She is doing as well as any horse, coming into this week, I should say. And this morning, that clip that Nicole caught her coming back around, and that's just 2-minute licking. That's just a couple of circuits around the track on the morning gallop. Except that it's really not in that. It's only a few days removed from her workout. She is, as I texted Cassie this morning, she's on tilt, and I mean, you'd almost want the race to be, tomorrow or Tuesday. She's doing so well. I'm going to end up picking her over Good Cheer.
Yeah, as I say, I've kind of been on her for a couple of weeks now. Coming out of the big win last time on the front end. And again, going back to that Tampa start to start the season. And I thought the second at Gulfstream was fine. You mentioned Quiet Side does get stuck outside in the 14. You can talk a little bit about that one. Simply Joking, that the two that come out of the fantasy last time running a close 1-2. Simply Joking, according to Mike, had a good workout within the last few days as well. So I think both of the fillies coming out of the fantasy down at Oaklawn are also interesting coming up in the Oaks this Friday.
Yeah, I basically am trying to find a couple of prices, and there's a ton of speed involved, and that's maybe that's the biggest knock on Watara coming into this, is that she's going to have to fend off any number of pace pressures. I mean, Good Cheer has things to her benefit, in terms of half a dozen almost fillies that are going to be grappling for the lead, and Luis Saez can pretty much just set up shop behind those speeds and get first run. I'm looking to Will Walden's filly, Less the Broken, is a filly that's going to be mid-pack or even further back than mid-pack, and she can come running. Drexel Hill is another that is going to be a late charge in here, and I think you've got to be looking to the stalker crowd and the mid-pack closers and the deep closers, because there's just too much speed in here. Ballerina Doro coming into this nicely, so. I think this goes through Good Cheer and Lacara, and then after that, there's any number of options. Frankly, I like Fonsley. I like the way Graham Motion is bringing her into it. Eclipse Thoroughbred. What a weekend they might have. They've got Built at the Pathé Mile. They've got Fonsley in the Oaks, and they've got Journalism in the Derby. I mean, they could have a bigger weekend than anybody. A horse that's, again, another speed that is being ignored is George Weaver. We should talk about the Gassis family, their homebred 5G. I haven't heard her name mentioned by anybody. And she's coming into this, completely ignored. What's wrong with her form coming in?
Yeah, it comes out of the win in the Gulfstream Park Oaks on the front end, and legitimate, as you say. I'll tell you, on the Derby side, when you talk about horses that are getting overlooked, I mentioned Burnham Square, who I didn't think was getting enough conversation compared to the talent level there. But one that, to me, I started thinking about the last couple of days, has not been getting mentioned really at all. Grande, coming out of the second place finish in the Wood, is really getting overlooked, I think.
You're 100% right. I mean, what more could you want? First out winner, a winner at 1 1/8, comes back in that Wood the first time against winners or against the Fake Company, and runs a very good second. I don't disagree, Seth. You also, for those that are going to start to dig into premium performance figures, the Thorograph data is going to be available pretty soon. I've actually been watching and keeping tabs on the pre-draw figures, And Grande is one of the three fastest horses in here, along with Baeza and Journalism. Then Sovereignty. I mean, those are the four fastest if you're going to use figures like Theragraph. So, yeah, Grande, absolutely. There's a lot to like.
And what do you make it? You mentioned this one earlier, maybe kickback effects, but I've been intrigued for a while now, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with Luxor Cafe come Saturday.
I don't know either, and it's very tough. It's very tough to judge the Japanese horses because their training regimen is so unusual, so different. That it was only yesterday for the first time. I've been here 8 days now, and it was only really yesterday that I saw Admire Daytona, the other Japanese horse, the winner of the UAE Derby. It's really the first time I saw him truly gallop and really, with any exertion. In fact, his workout was kind of a joke. It was 53 seconds. That's barely fast enough to even register or recorded work. But then yesterday he was 2 minute licking, and he came by under the stands and past the spires, and he tore into the turn, and that he actually looked good. That was the first chance I got to see him. Listen, these Japanese horses, they generally have outrun their odds. Obviously, Forever Young last year was a horse that probably, if you ran that Derby 100 times, he would have won 15 or 20 of them. So you got to take them seriously. I'm probably going to be one of those people that doesn't use them until they win a Derby. That may be silly, but I think there's clearly a half a dozen North American-based horses that it's easy to prefer to Luxor Cafe.
Yeah, I mean, that last Japanese race, people can pull it up on YouTube, he just powered away from the competition, but you don't know what the competition was. So it's tough to judge, but I find him very interesting. You've been down there all week now. Great job on the radio show. That will continue this week. But I'm just wondering what the discussion is on there. There are a number of really nice stories. Lonnie Briley with Coal Battle, obviously Wayne Lucas with American Promise. You still see him at 89 getting up on the pony in the morning. And Chunk of Gold in the Derby, originally purchased for $2,500. Is there a buzz floating around on the stories?
Oh, always. And I'm glad you included Chunk of Gold, because Chunk of Gold is a horse. First of all, he draws the 19. And that's fine for him. I mean, he's a kind of a mid-pack type anyway. He'll probably be sitting 10th to 14th early. Plenty of opportunity for Jareth Loveberry to find a comfortable position with Chunk of Gold. Ethan West and his brother Aaron, who runs a lot of horses at Horseshoe Indianapolis. They're a fabulous story. They're really well liked and respected. Terry Stevens, the owner, $2,500 purchase. This horse, wait till people get a good look at him physically. He is a big, good-looking horse, and I think there's plenty to like about Chunk of Gold as a big price exotic candidate. Again, I don't necessarily think he can win, but he's a horse that if you're building try-in super tickets, you're looking for a price boost, Chunk of Gold makes a lot of sense. Jareth Loveberry, you go back 2 years to his run on Two Fills. There was a point in the race at the 16th hole. Jareth Loveberry, I think, thought he was going to win the Derby, and if it wasn't for Masia's big late closing kick, he would have. So you can have confidence in Jareth Loveberry knowing what it takes to impact this race. It's a great story. Lonnie Briley Lonnie's in very rough shape physically. He's had some internal, some lung and stomach issues that, really have taken a toll on him. He's lost a lot of weight. It's tough for him to get around physically, frankly, at a big place like this, but the horse is doing fine. He's going to have to get faster to do something and pack this race. But I saw him from the minute he won the Springboard Mile. I was at Remington Park for that in December. It's a tremendous story, and it does seem that every year there's a horseman like Alani Briley that gets to the Derby, which is really kind of heartening. Whit Beckman. What about Whit Beckman?
Yeah.
He brought Anna Marie here last year, and he's going to run 2 horses in the Oaks on Friday. Anna Marie's back as a 4-year-old, and here he is with Flying Mohawk, along with former Philadelphia Phillies star Jason Worth, who's been a big part of the Netflix TV show. So there's tremendous stories around. The Derby writes their own story.
And on the flip side of Alani Briley, one of the stories is also the return of Bob Baffert. Just looking out on social media, he's clearly getting a lot of coverage on the return and comes in with some players. One horse I wanted to talk about, just for folks who are playing triple superfectas or whatever, the kind of horse that can make it at a price that we haven't mentioned yet. Final Gambit for Brad Cox, I think, is interesting. Is maybe one of those gets in at a price underneath.
You can have him.
Okay.
If he's in the number.
I'm having him only if he is a price. Like I said, I'm not in love with him, but I think he'll offer some value.
No, I mean, there's no doubt he's going to be a price. He's going into it 30-1, but Brad Cox is Brad Cox, and it is Juddmonte. He's a horse that maybe even more than Luxor Cafe. He's a horse that may have been impacted by the draw. I don't think he wants dirt in his face, frankly. He's going to have to be Animal Kingdom, obviously, to win this. I can't. He's not for me, Seth.
All right. And finally, let's just talk a little bit about, because they've pretty much drawn both days. They have drawn both days. You can pull up PPs and whatnot. And it really is a couple of good days of stakes action and beyond. I read Bango is in a stake on Thursday, or Thurby. Bango, the winningest horse all time at Churchill Downs. So he'll be fun for Greg Foley. But a couple of really nice days of stakes action. One of the highlights will be on a quick turnaround, Torpedo Anna in the La Troyenne.
Yeah, I've been in the camp trying to beat her. I think everybody's gonna, if anybody's trying to beat her, it's basically gonna be with Chad. That's gonna be your hope. That Raging Sea or oh my gosh, the other filly.
I'm trying to look here.
Yeah, is it redistrict? Is it not randomized? Randomized, I think. Randomized.
Yep.
Not redistricting. Randomized. Yeah, randomized. Who's coming back for a 5-year-old debut, and Raging Sea, who actually also hasn't been seen since Breeders' Cup. Raging Sea, I think, got a real. She comes back ready to run, and Chad is as good as anybody off the layoff. Raging Sea probably has got maybe a slightly better chance of beating her. I keep feeling that Torpedo Anna is vulnerable. I may end up continuing to waste money trying to bet against it.
As I said, Mike Welch on yesterday, he wasn't thrilled with the work the other day for Torpedo Anna.
Oh, there you go. All right, good. I hadn't heard that from Mike yet, but I wasn't impressed with either of her runs at all.
But again, nice day, Pate Mile coming up on Saturday, and just a really full slate of stakes the week and the weekend. Go ahead.
I was a little surprised after all the buildup and all the conversation we kept hearing about everybody that was gonna run in the Pate Mile.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised that we only ended up with a 9-horse field. I expected a full gate for the Pate Mile, and I don't know, maybe all the chatter scared some people away from entering. But Baffert got the 2. Gaming and Madigan Road. Madigan Road the other day I thought had a really good work. If people go to KentuckyBread.org, you can watch the works and pull up the Madigan Road work, because he was in amongst the 2 other sets of workers, and he split everybody and was accelerating down deep stretch and to the wire. I thought Madigan Road worked really well. It's interesting thing about the Pate. I'm just trying to see if take a look at where I guess the other speed. I guess California Burrito is going to go. Smoking Wicked, Dallas Stewart. Yeah, all right. There's enough speed. I was wondering how much speed there was. Madigan Road, I think will be Madigan Road turning back in here should be very good.
Yeah, it looks like, as I said, I'm just kind of scrolling through the other stakes, and it really is a big day, certainly with a lot of big names. Steve, we'll let you go, but appreciate the conversation this morning. Boots on the ground from Churchill Downs. And again, great work this week, and more coming up in the week ahead as well as we head into the Derby. And I'm assuming both Oaks and Derby Day, folks can find your thoughts and selections on stevebyk.com, correct?
Yeah, they'll be at the website in the selections room, and I'll try to also put together a compendium of all the guest selections as we lead into Friday, and then of course 2 to 5 again this year for the 3rd year. I'm hosting the 2 to 5 Derby pre-show for NBC Sports on Thursday.
Oh, excellent. So folks can look forward to that as well. Steve, appreciate the conversation, and we will talk again.
Happy Derby.
Appreciate it. Steve Byk, and again, check out the radio show this week. Always a lot of great information. He's live right on the site, and so pulls in all the major players, and you will get plenty of good insight to use. Oaks Derby Day, really, as I say, the whole week has become kind of a happening down there at Louisville. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, again, it's opening day. Opening day yesterday, Woodbine and Churchill. Opening day tomorrow at Finger Lakes. So we'll be joined by Anthony Stabile and get a little preview of the meet coming up ahead. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Yes, and as you saw on your screen right there, this coming Wednesday, there will be the annual Kentucky Derby Seminar, Capital OTB Kentucky Derby Seminar. You can see it right here on the network, 7 o'clock on Wednesday, our social media platforms as well. All right, as promised before the break, we are joined now by our friend Anthony Stabile. You hear him in the booth at the Finger Lakes, and that will kick things off tomorrow, opening day at the Finger Lakes. And so who better to talk to than our friend Anthony Stabile? Anthony, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How we doing?
Very good. And you must be doing well. Headed up to the Rochester area and the Finger Lakes to kick things off. And I know a lot of our patrons enjoy Finger Lakes and all the action up there. And traditionally, and that will be the case this year, they have little short races to get the horses back in shape. But give us your thoughts as you head up to kick off the 2025 season.
I'm on leg number 2 of the journey. It's 87 to 17 to 81 to 90. I am on 17 as we speak. So, looking forward to getting back 91 days like last year. Mondays and Tuesdays the first couple of weeks, and then we have the Wednesdays, May 12 through 14 is when we have the first full 3-day week of racing. All 4.5 the first couple of weeks. So the general rule of thumb for me, after spending my first meet up here last year, is those first few weeks you're going to want the horses with recency. I'm not solving the riddle of the Sphinx when I tell people this. You want the horses that have some recency. So horses coming in, obviously from the Big A, horses shipping up from places like Penn National. Those are the two biggest horses we'll pull from out of town the first few weeks of the meet and throughout the year, really. But I think you just want to lean with the horses that have some recency as we get things kicked off tomorrow afternoon. Post game is 1 o'clock. We have a fantastic opening day plan for everybody. 8 races. We got some alliance races, some maiden specials. We have $1 Zuego hot dogs, which are very popular up in the Rochester area. $1 sodas, $3 drafts, which are popular everywhere in the United States of America and across the world. Free programs on track. You can always download the PPs at fingerlakesgaming.com. They are available each and every racing day, courtesy of Equibase. And tomorrow, for the 40,000 plus DRF subscribers, the Finger Lakes PPs are free. So you can go get those. If you're a member of DRF, you can go get those right now and start capping up your opening day card. They're available free for tomorrow. So we also are on track a $10 bet and play. If you bet $10 on the racing side, we'll give you a $10 voucher to head over to the casino and try your luck at the 1100 machine. So a fun opening day plan for tomorrow.
Very nice. And we have a visit scheduled for a little bit later this spring. We always have fun when we go out there. And again, it's a very easy drive from our area. You pop on the thruway, you get off the thruway, it's about a 5-minute little jaunt to get to the track. Nice location, scenic. And again, we've been there the last couple of years, the 3 or 4 times we've gone, but gorgeous weather. And it's fun if you can get out there on a nice day. So keep that in mind for the season. As you mentioned, recency, I agree with you. I mean, it used to be, and it still is for a big portion, but a lot of the trainers put the horses, out for the winter, so to speak, and so they have to work themselves back up into form. But in recent years, you've had some trainers, as you say, running down in New York. I know the last year's leading trainer, Anthony Ferraro, has some horses at Tampa in the wintertime, so you may look at those. And let's talk a little bit about the human side, because I pulled up last year's leaders on Equibase. It was Anthony Ferraro as the leading trainer. Paul Barrow ran second. Jonathan Buckley third. Mike Ferraro, the other Ferraro involved, was fourth. And Chris Engelhardt was fifth in the standings on the trainer side. The leading jockey by a large margin, Kaibar Koa, with a really nice meet last year. He had 106. Second was Andre Worry with 78. Luis Perez and Kevin Navarro and Emmanuel Di Diego. Your thoughts on the human side of things, jockeys and trainers this season?
Yeah, Ferraro Jr., he went essentially gate to wire. I don't remember if it was opening day or if it was the second day of the meet, but I believe he had a 3-bagger, and that was it. And he had shown some speed earlier in some earlier seasons at the Lakes, but and then the Engelhardts or Paul would run him down. But last year it was a tour de force, gate to wire performance for M.A. Ferraro and Cabracoa. I'm going to tell you something. I missed a few weeks up here due to illness last year. The weeks that I was here, I could not have been more impressed with the ascension and the improvement of Kairakoa. I just, the kind of guy where and he came down this winter and he did some riding this winter and he did okay at Aqueduct. But the kind of guy where if I had him ride a jock in a big race and he was in the room, I would not be hesitant to give him a leg up. He had a fantastic meet, only got to cross 100 wins, and I know he won it well over 20%. He's dominant and he's strong. And he's got a good left hand, and I know, we've kind of shied away from the stick, no pun intended, but he's got a real good left hand. It's in his hand when he turns for home, which is really important for me. And when I bet on Kairakoa, I feel like I'm getting my money in the middle with the best, and I feel that way in any venue, really. I think he can ride with the best of them. I think he's gotten really, really good. So I think he'll dominate. The trainers, it's always hard with the trainers because the stock switches, and you don't know who's coming in with what kind of ammo. It's hard to guess the trainer ranks. If I had to guess, I think Ferraro will be dethroned. Who? I don't know. Paul Bauer does a great job. Ralphie D does a great job. I just don't think Ralphie D has enough firepower. But Paul always has a strong contingent up here, and Paul and Ralph both winter at the Big A. Neither took me to dinner this year, so that might be a blemish against them. We see their names a lot down at Aqueduct, so they're coming in with horses, and they're not afraid to jump in the car and put the hitch on and bring horses back and forth. So, even some of these horses that other trainers will run that have been gone 5 months, maybe they're going 2 months with a race in between. And people say, well, how important would that be? Real important, because to get ready for that one race, they had to have some training. So the foundation won't just leave for the 2 months. So, like I said, those guys are the ones that I'll kind of lean on early in the meet, the horses that have had some recency from the trainers that have some recency.
And speaking on the human side, well, let me mention Nicole Russo did a nice little kind of meet preview in the Daily Racing Forum. But she mentioned, on the human side of things, some of the names that have come out of the Finger Lakes. Jim Bond, of course, started at the Finger Lakes and still runs horses up there. And Raylu Gutierrez, who has gone on to have a nice career, certainly on the jockey side of things, got the start out at the Finger Lakes. And in Nicole's article, she mentions, as you just kind of alluded to, a lot of New York horsemen, particularly Saratoga, where it's a little jaunt, will race their horses out at the Finger Lakes, from the NYRA circuit to get a different level of competition, perhaps. But highlight of the year amongst the stakes calendar might be the New York Derby, and I pulled up the past winners last night. First of all, Pandagate last year. I wish they would bring back that New York Triple. But the New York Derby used to be part of that triple, and Pandagate won what was 2 legs. He won the New York Derby out there last year for Christophe Clement, Dylan Davis on board, then went on to win the Albany at Saratoga. But you go down the list here of New York Derby winners. American Revolution for Todd Pletcher, 2021. Bank It for Asmussen, who's been a very nice horse. Hit It Once More. Gary Siaka trained for Bill Parcells going back to 2016. So again, that's got to be fun to call. One of the highlights of the year, and you get plenty of familiar names coming in, both on the jockey and the trainer side.
Yeah, American Revolution went on to win the Grade 1. It was still a Grade 1 then, the Cigar Mile at the end of 2021. Pandagate, the only reason Pandagate, well, one of the reasons I should say, Pandagate didn't take part in the Mike Lee, which was the old first leg of that Big Apple Triple, was because he was recovering from Dubai. It shows you just how far the New York Red program has gone. He was third to Forever Young. He had a pretty good career. He was third to him in that UAE Derby, and Christophe just needed a little more time. But yeah, sensational renewals of both the Oaks in the Derby last year. Caldwell Loves Gold shipped in and took it from the Queen of the Lakes, Sweet Brown Sugar, and then Pandagate and Doc Sullivan put on a nice show in the Derby for Christophe Clement, who amazingly didn't make the Hall of Fame again. I would need 3 hours to go over the man how he belongs in the Hall of Fame. It's an outright disgrace that the voters for the Hall of Fame did not put him in again. I had my vote. I wish I could vote 10 times, but they tell me that's illegal. But yeah, looking forward to July 14th. That's Monday, July 14th. We'll have a big day. Saratoga will have been open a couple of weeks at that point. And yeah, we know we get a lot of horses, especially when the summer comes rolling over from Saratoga. And especially for those days, we moved some stakes races as well. The Niagara, which was a prep for the Oaks, and the Ontario County, which was a prep for the Derby, have now been moved to September on the 2-year-old stakes, the first 2-year-old day, September 13th, I believe. So we've had a few moves on the stakes calendar, but the Derby and Oaks will be in their usual spot on that middle Monday of July on the 14th.
Very good, and I totally agree with you and Christophe Clement. Well, the whole Hall of Fame thing was head scratching that only Smarty Jones made it in. I'm a voter as well, and I tried to parse out. I could have voted for everybody. Everybody had a great record this year, but on the trainer's side, yeah, Christophe Clement it was surprising. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for next year. Certainly, you mentioned.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
You know, I'm not saying this to curry favor with the upstate faithful, but if Smarty Jones is in, how the heck isn't Funny Side in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, no,
off of basically the same reason with multiple graded stakes, multiple open company stakes wins after his 3-year-old season, including the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup. An absolute joke. But don't get me started. My Twitter was exploding enough all week. I almost had an embolism because of this week.
Yeah, I have to admit, I did not vote for Smarty Jones. And folks on Twitter were saying, but he brought so many people into the game. And it's like, I don't know whether that's qualifying for Hall of Fame career. And as you say, if he gets in, there are a lot of other near miss Triple Crown run. I'm in the same boat as you. Don't get me started. But you mentioned Sweet Brown Sugar on one of our visits last year, a couple of years ago. Had a chance to meet the man behind Richie Rich up in your booth. That was a lot of fun. And so we look forward, as I say, to getting back up there a little bit later this season. But Finger Lakes kicks off tomorrow. We're joined by Anthony Stabile. He'll be in the booth announcing, as he has been for a while now, up at the Finger Lakes. So, again, wanted to do a little preview on that season coming up, and we'll have Anthony plugged in as we move along during the season, giving thoughts and whatnot on some of the cards. But speaking of giving thoughts, I can't let you go. We're less than a week away. Give us some of your thoughts coming up on the Derby.
Yeah, I will be at Mohegan Sun. We have a great 3-day event planned. Thursday night, it'll be me, Mike Manansky, who everybody knows from New England Radio, and Chantal Sutherland going to join us. We'll be at Mohegan Sun Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Thursday's a free seminar, 7 to 9. If you come in and play Derby on Thursday, you get a commemorative T-shirt and a julep glass. So that's for free in the racebook and sports book. So come on in. Again, it looks like I'm a homer here, but I like Bill Moss' chances with Sovereignty here. I know he's got a Derby win in 2019, but I think he'd like to cross the line first. And I think Sovereignty is the right horse, Seth. You know, he had that stakes win as his maiden win last in the street sense last fall at Churchill. And I think it just goes to show you what Bill thinks of him. Bill's not one of these guys to run maidens in stakes races, and he did it, and he rewarded him with a win. And I got to think getting back to Churchill after having a really nice winter at Gulfstream Park, a track that historically does not play to his running style, I got to think the mile and a quarter and getting back to Churchill is going to be just what he needs. He's 5-1 on the morning line. I don't think that's going to hold up. I think he's going to drift. I would imagine Sandman with the Metallica connection, his owner connections, I would imagine he'll be the second choice. But I'm a big fan of Sovereignty. I don't know how anybody can knock journalism. The only thing I guess you could say is, you know, what is at the beginning of Days of Thunder, the NASCAR movie, and Tom Cruise's character goes in and he sets the pole on the practice lap. Rowdy Burns walks over and goes, "Now let's see you doing it in a crowd." Those 4 and 5 horse fields out of Santa Anita he's going to have to do the crowd now. But, I know his nickname is King Kong. I see why his nickname is King Kong, having watched him train, via Twitter and some of the Churchill Downs shows. They've been doing a great job in the morning, giving us coverage of everything. But I got to tell you, he certainly looks the part. He's bred the part. It looks like he just gets going. I love Frank Maramati's call on the Santa Anita Derby. It looks like he was just getting going at the 8th pole. And that's what you want to see. He runs through the wire in all of his races. Look, I'm waxing poetic about a horse that's probably going to be 5-2, but he's got a good post. He's got the right pedigree. He's got the right kind of stride and build. There's not really a lot to knock on him except that fact that he's been running against small fields and everybody's always looking for a long shot. How about Cold Battle?
Yeah.
What's he done wrong in his career? He's at 30-1. How is that one's going to be 30-1 after the winter he had? Because he ran sneaky good in that Arkansas Derby. That race was run very strangely with the weird pace and everybody flying up front. And the jock probably moved too soon. And he flattened late, but he's won on the lead. He's won from just off the pace. He's won from far back. You can put him where you want it. I think he's got a good enough draw. If you're looking for a 25-30-1 shot, I think Cold Battle. So sovereignty journalism, Cold Battle for me.
And he would be a great story with the trainer Lonnie Briley in there. We were talking earlier about the Derby. I think there are a bunch of really interesting horses in here. I said one that's getting over. I'm with you on Sovereignty. I really like Sovereignty. I thought that second last time sets him up very well. But one that's getting a little bit overlooked is Grande off the second in the Wood.
Yeah, everybody loves putting up 4 picks, and it's when they ask me for a 4th pick, he'd probably be my 4th pick. Yeah, I mean, the lack of seasoning bothers me a little bit, but yeah, I mean, there looks like there's some pace in here. The Baffert horses will put some pace on. East Avenue, obviously. East Avenue is also a little bit of a weird horse, right? You don't really see a lot of, just because of the small amount of time, you don't see a lot of comeback stories on the Kentucky Derby Trail. More often than not, they don't have enough time to rise, fall, and rise again. But you kind of feel like the blinkers helped last time, and maybe he's figuring things out, and maybe he can sit off of Baffert. He got a better draw. I mean, he might be what Manny Franco climbs aboard. He might be the kind of horse I want to throw in some gimmicks. Yeah, the Grande, East Avenue. So those are the horses that I'll use a little bit for Fantastic. For Steve Asmus, he's been the mile and 3/16 with Joel Rosario. He's going to be 25-1. I think you could maybe the favorite Sovereignty and journalism dominate the front end, but I think you can find a little chaos underneath.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun looking edition of the Derby this year, and we'll see if Baeza can sneak in. I know a lot of people are looking for him to maybe sneak into the field, as they say, but it's getting a little late. We'll see how that works out. Anthony, one more time, give us the time and the day for your seminar, and you've done that for a while now, right? Down at Mohegan.
I have been a Mohegan Sun. Well, I've been doing that on May 17th. I'm very good with my dates. On May 17th, I've been covering horse racing professionally for 26 years. I have been at Mohegan Sun for 22 of them.
There you go.
On and off. From Dave Krupe to the late, great Linda Fournier, to my man Zach Montoya, I hope he's feeling good, to our leader now, Brad Bryan, who does an unbelievable job there. He turns what has essentially become a sports book into a race book for 3 days. Nobody in the Northeast that's not associated with a racetrack does more for this game than Mohegan Sun, and namely Brad Bryan. He does it for Triple Crown races, namely the Derby and the Belmont, and then in the middle of college football season, he turns it into a race book for 2 days during the Breeders' Cup. Nobody else would do that. So we'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday is free to the public. Friday and Saturday, there's still some tickets available. You can try and sign up online at MoheganSun.com. Thursday night's a free seminar to the public. 7 to 9, me, Mike Mansky, Chantal Sutherland, taking all your – we're going to handicap both cards. We're going to take your questions at the end. If you bet $50 on the Derby that night, you get a T-shirt and a commemorative mint julep glass. And then Friday and Saturday, you can go sign up. We got a lot of good stuff going on. Saturday, there's a hat contest. There's a best dress contest. Woodford Reserve sponsoring the whole weekend. There'll be booze and cigars. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? They pay me to do these things.
Sounds fun.
I'd be smoking a cigar, drinking bourbon, and gambling. So they pay me to do it. What a world we live in. What a time to be alive.
Start your week out with the hot dogs at the Finger Lakes. Ended up with the hat contest down in yeah, there you go. Sounds like a big week. Anthony, we appreciate the conversation. As I say, we'll have you plugged in throughout the season for some picks and some thoughts, but I wanted to get you in today to kind of set things up. So have a great week kicking things off at the Finger Lakes. Enjoy the Derby weekend as well. We'll talk again.
All gas, no brakes to the lakes, my man. Thanks, Seth. Good luck, everyone.
Anthony Stabile, again, Finger Lakes opening day tomorrow. Speaking of the Derby, before I wrap it up, I have to give you our upcoming events here at Capital OTB, because Derby Day here, if you'd like some seats, the carols and whatnot, I think there's still some availabilities for reserving seats here. Kentucky Derby Day, a week from yesterday, but time is running short. So if you'd like a seat, come on in, reserve your seat for Derby Day here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And again, coming up on Wednesday, the annual Kentucky Derby Seminar. That'll be Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It'll be here on the network and available via our Capital OTB social media channels over on YouTube and whatnot. And don't forget, there is a large Kentucky Derby bankroll. Kevin Cox will have $2,500 to play on Derby weekend, and you can get your chance to be on the team via capitalotb.com. Click on the promotions link at the top of the page. Look for that graphic right there. Click on that, and there's an entry form. So fill out an entry form. We'll select the team. And entries close later this afternoon. So, you have a couple, 3 more hours or so to jump in. So do it. Put your name in the hat. We'll select folks, and folks will be alerted, I believe, Monday, maybe Tuesday. But by Tuesday, if you're on the team, you will know. And Kevin Cox will try to ramp up that $2,500 into a big result to get everybody on the team some nice money. And going back to Friday, again, I mentioned it yesterday, but again, thanks to everybody who turned out for our happy hour bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook. I didn't have $2,500, but we had a couple hundred. Turned it into 190-ish, just a little under that, with a win in the very last race I played. It was the last race at Keeneland. Had a little win place money on the 7-2 shot. Had some exacta money a few times, which got us a result that let everybody walk out with a little piece of a change in their pocket. Everybody got about $19. So he didn't knock it out of the park. But as I said, you walked out with $19 of free money. And that's kind of been the case of the last few bankrolls. It's been varied a little bit of money. A couple of them were pretty good. And that's our game plan. And this one could have been better. I missed a pick 3 worth another $130 by about that much. And there were a couple other close calls. But again, we treaded water a little bit early, and then had a nice hit in the last race we played. The last race at Keeneland for the spring season paid off. So again, we appreciate everybody who turned out to take their shot and participate in the happy hour bankroll. And always check the events calendar on the website, and we will alert you here as well for upcoming contests, events, and whatnot that allow you to wind up with maybe a little extra free something like the Kentucky Derby bankroll coming up next Friday and Saturday. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. Again, thanks to Steve Byk. Thanks to Anthony Stabile. Some Derby talk, some Oaks talk, and some Finger Lakes talk, as well as Finger Lakes does open tomorrow afternoon for the season. I'll be back in an hour and a half or so, OTB Live for a Sunday afternoon. Today, I will take a look at some Aqueduct and some Oaklawn. Churchill kicked off last night, but then they take a little bit of a break and then back for Kentucky Derby week. The days are named Thurby, as they say. Thurby traditionally was meant for locals. Now I think that has maybe shifted a day ahead. But again, Thursday, which they call Thurby, we'll have Bango. That should be fun. And it's going to be a fun week. Again, Friday and Saturday, they've drawn the cards. You can pull up PPs. But Bango, the winningest horse in Churchill history, with I believe it's 12 wins. Maybe it's 13, but I think it's 12. But is in a stake on Thursday for Greg Foley. So that'll be fun. Kick things off a little bit with a little excitement with a local favorite, and then into Friday and Saturday with two really good cards, great betting menus. And again, don't forget, we'll go over a lot of that Wednesday night with the Derby seminar. Otherwise, going to wrap it up for this Sunday morning, but into Sunday afternoon in about an hour and a half or so. So stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.